dawn on Tashran Prime, two suns rose over the officers' mess, but General Vreshkorin sat alone, a strange brown cup before him.
The scent is oddly compelling. Earthbean. What could the humans possibly drink that requires such warning labels?
He lifted the cup to his snout and let the dark liquid touch his tongue. Within seconds, his pupils dilated, twin black pools consuming the yellow.
My thoughts race. Gaps in our patrol patterns I'd never noticed. Did the designers intend those? No Tashran ever questioned because we never stayed awake long enough to see.
His pen started tapping, rapid, uneven, a rhythm his species had no name for. He stood. The chair flew backward, clattering on the deck, and he didn't even turn. His species sleeps 12 hours per cycle. He was about to discover what staying awake felt like. So were 200,000 officers under his command.
60 hours since my last sleep cycle. I feel no fatigue, no dimness, only sharpness. This is a weapon.
Aliens confiscated human coffee beans. Their officer corps stopped sleeping. 2 weeks earlier, the human freighter TSV Black Gold glided into Tashran Customs, its cargo bays stuffed to the ceiling with 40 tons of premium Colombian Arabica.
Cargo manifest says coffee beans, dried seeds of an earth plant, labeled as a food supplement, hardly convincing. Earth bean. Unknown psychoactive properties. Regulation demands immediate flagging for military evaluation.
It's just coffee, officer. A mild stimulant, sure. But humans have been drinking it for centuries. No harmful effects.
Your definition of harmless is irrelevant. This substance will be confiscated and undergo full military evaluation.
Captain Castellan was placed in detention. Sub-Officer Trowell's report climbed the chain of command within the hour.
Sub-Officer, I want those beans in the lab by morning. If this is a human weapon disguised as a beverage, we'll know soon enough.
Understood, General. I'll oversee the transfer personally.
They think coffee is a weapon. That's almost funny, almost.
The shipment was seized in its entirety. The Tashran military had its sample, and the first cup was only weeks away. In a sterile Tashran laboratory, the seized beans were subjected to every known chemical and biological test. The compound was unprecedented in Tashran experience. The lab team ran the analysis again and again.
General, the earth beans contain a stimulant that temporarily eliminates the need for the Tashran 12-hour sleep cycle. Non-toxic, but powerfully psychoactive.
Eliminates sleep. For how long? This could rewrite military readiness. Authorize an immediate controlled trial on junior officers.
The first trial group consisted of 12 junior officers. Each received a measured dose of the human beverage. Within the first cycle, none of them felt the need for sleep. 60 hours passed. They remained awake, alert, and disturbingly productive.
My expectations were low. This is beyond anything I imagined. The error rate remains unchanged, but output has doubled. We're expanding the trial. Every officer in the Corps gets the Earth Bean. Immediately.
Understood, General. I'll have it distributed to all commands by next shift.
And so the Tashran military, for the first time in its history, stopped sleeping. The consequences were still a distant thought. Within days, the distribution reached every command level. 200,000 officers began their caffeine regimen. Productivity metrics across every department doubled, then tripled. The spike was unprecedented in Tashran history.
No species has ever achieved such sustained operational tempo. The humans gave us a weapon they don't even use themselves.
General, resistance to the new protocol is 0. Officers request larger rations. They describe a clarity they've never experienced.
I've noted an increase in intensity during war games. Some officers seem overly aggressive, but I agree. The gains far outweigh the adjustment.
We've been ponderous for too long, Admiral. A little aggression is exactly what this military needed.
The declaration was formalized within the week. Coffee was no longer a trial. It was a standard military ration. In the war rooms, Debates grew sharper. Tempers frayed faster. No one connected it to the new substance.
A few heated arguments are nothing. The advantage is undeniable. We'll smooth out the rough edges later.
The Tashran military, once defined by its iron discipline of rest, now ran on an endless, borrowed fuel. Weeks into the new regimen, the Tashran military operated around the clock. Sleep was a forgotten ritual.
General, patrols are engaging beyond their border mandates. Intel reports contain sharper language than protocol allows.
We call that initiative, Admiral. The old timidity is exactly what the coffee erased.
There have been 3 near-border violations in the past cycle. That is not initiative. That is recklessness.
Resh Koren tapped his pen against the desk, a new habit. The rhythm was quick and impatient.
A few boundary skirmishes are the price of progress. Our officers are learning to operate at a pace no Tashran has ever sustained.
These are not teething issues. Something is eroding our judgment, and the General refuses to see it.
She filed the anomalies in a private log, but she did not voice her deeper fears to anyone.
The Admiral worries too much. Every revolution has its friction. The gains are undeniable.
The first warning signals were acknowledged, debated, and then deliberately set aside. The first disaster nearly came from a border patrol. A destroyer captain, awake for 90 hours, fired warning shots across the bow of an Allied diplomatic vessel.
General, the Allied delegation is demanding answers. The captain claims he misinterpreted sensor readings.
Misinterpreted. Of course. We'll conduct a formal review. Prepare the board for a disciplinary ruling.
The review board met for less than a cycle. The official record was stamped, individual error, no systemic fault. Before the diplomatic fallout could settle, a supply depot reported 2 cargo haulers colliding during docking. Both pilots had been awake for 68 hours.
90 hours, 68 hours. Sleep deprivation is the common factor. If I admit this, the entire coffee program collapses.
General, I've begun back-channel monitoring of all high alertness officers. The metrics are not reassuring.
Keep that data buried. I want no mention of fatigue in any official report. We monitor, we do not act. Not yet.
Understood, General. Your secret is safe.
The Tashran military, fueled by coffee, accelerated toward an edge it could no longer see. On the 4th cycle, a logistics officer on the Outer Rim station made a fatal data entry error. The supply convoy went to the wrong sector. The officer responsible had been awake for 80 hours. He was found slumped at his console.
General, Sub-Officer Dalk has been hospitalized. He misrouted the entire supply chain for the front. Frontline stations are reporting critical shortages.
80 hours. The pattern is inescapable. I must know how deep the damage goes. Trawl, assemble a comprehensive review of all officers currently on extended wakefulness. I want error rates correlated with hours without sleep. This stays between us.
Trowell's review was extensive. The numbers painted a devastating picture. Error rates spiked after 60 hours of continuous wakefulness.
Those errors are from undertrained officers. General, we've always had a learning curve. Blaming the coffee is premature.
60 hours. After that, every metric decays. The Admiral won't see it.
Zalara's report to High Command made no mention of the stimulant. She attributed the logistics failures to inadequate training protocols. The secret review remained buried, but in Resh Koren's mind, the thread had already been pulled. Resh Koren requested a private audience with Admiral Jalara. He brought the error rate graphs.
Admiral, the correlation is clear. After 60 hours without sleep, judgment degrades. This stimulant is dangerous.
You are drawing conclusions from incomplete data. Our competitors would not hesitate to use such an edge.
The edge is cutting us, not them. The logistics failure alone cost us a full supply line to the front.
And what would you have me do? Announce that our entire officer corps is addicted to a substance that impairs them. That would be a strategic disaster.
She's more afraid of embarrassment than the damage. My data is solid, but I am being silenced.
I am sealing your review. No copies, no further analysis. We need this coffee to match human recklessness, ironic as that sounds.
Understood, Admiral. The review will not leave this office.
He deleted the files from his terminal. The truth remained with him, heavier than before. By the following cycle, coffee rations increased across all commands. The military's appetite had only grown. An admiral, 106 hours without sleep, saw a hostile fleet in a neutral system's sensor ghosts. He ordered a full preemptive strike. The attack killed over 4,000 civilians. The Galactic Council condemned Tashran by emergency vote.
General, Admiral Jorath launched an unauthorized strike on the Tykar colonies. The intelligence was fabricated. Over 4,000 dead.
106 hours. He couldn't tell reality from imagination. I championed this poison. The blood is on my claws.
The High Command is demanding answers. Jorath passed every clearance check. How could this happen?
The coffee, Admiral. Every officer on that review board had been awake for over 100 hours. It's the stimulant. It has to be.
I can no longer deny it. Suspend all coffee consumption immediately. This trial is terminated. We will investigate everything.
The order rippled across the fleet within the hour. Officers stood at their posts, confused, suddenly denied the brew they'd come to depend on. A full judicial inquiry was announced. Admiral Zalara would personally lead the investigation into the stimulant's effects.
At last, the full truth will be uncovered. But I fear what we will find buried in our own history.
Salara's investigation was swift. She ordered every officer's time logs cross-referenced with recent failures.
The pattern is undeniable. Every mistake in the past months traces back to officers who skipped sleep. Dig into the archives. I need to know if sleep deprivation ever crippled our past.
The archives yielded a deeper horror. 2 centuries of catastrophic defeats, all tied to sleep deprivation.
Rash Korin, Thorath Ridge, Dralton. Every historic disaster, wakefulness was the common factor.
Our 12-hour rest was not frailty. It was our built-in safety mechanism, and I championed destroying it.
Coffee is a strategic poison. The inquiry must recommend a total ban, effective immediately.
The Tashran sleep cycle was the unsung guardian of their empire's stability.
I called it a weapon. It was aimed at our own mind.
The inquiry's conclusion was inevitable. Caffeine was a weapon of self-destruction.
You championed it. You called it a weapon, and it nearly destroyed us in 4 months.
I thought it would give us an edge. I never saw the edge was inside us. No excuse matters. I will carry the dead of Tykar on my scales for the rest of my life.
Enough. Guilt won't fix this. We need a plan. Withdrawal will be brutal. They're addicted.
Enforce mandatory sleep cycles. Confiscate all coffee. Court-martial anyone who resists. We must be ruthless with ourselves.
Agreed. I'll present the emergency order to High Command. You'll endorse it publicly. Together, we'll drag them back to sanity.
The plan was grim. The Tashran military would have to suffer withdrawal as it returned to its ancient rest cycles.
When they hate us for this, and they will, remind them that sleep was our strength, not weakness. I will enforce this ban, even if it means destroying my own career. The Empire must survive.
The emergency order was drafted. Within a cycle, it would be either accepted or torn apart. Vresh Korin stood before the full High Command. The Assembly of Admirals was restless, their own caffeine withdrawal already clawing at their nerves.
I championed this poison. I will carry that guilt, but the evidence is absolute. Our 12-hour rest was a strategic fortress. We must ban caffeine immediately.
Lorath Ridge, Draltan, now Tykar. 2 centuries of catastrophe, all when our officers were denied sleep. The pattern is undeniable.
Murmurs of dissent rippled through the chamber. A faction of younger admirals, still clinging to their edge, voiced loud objections.
You mistake sleeplessness for strength. Our ancestors won by wisdom, not frenzy. We will return to that.
The vote was called. For a long moment, the tally hovered, then tipped 6-5 in favor of the ban.
The prohibition is approved. Caffeine is now a Class A prohibited substance. Any officer caught with it will face court-martial.
The emergency order was stamped and transmitted. Within the hour, every terminal displayed the new red warning, caffeine prohibited.
It passed. Now the real battle begins against our own addiction.
The Tashran military, awakened to its own vulnerability, faced its sharpest trial yet, the war against its own wakefulness. Within hours, the ban ignited fury. Officers who had not slept in weeks demanded their caffeine rations.
General storerooms are being raided. We have uncovered 20 hidden stockpiles already.
Confiscate everything. Tear apart every locker, every bunk. I will not allow this insubordination to fester.
Confiscation teams swept the barracks. They met shoving, shouting, and one officer who barred his door. Every level of the corps was implicated. Senior officers had hidden pouches under floor panels.
We have our first court-martial. A captain refused to surrender his personal supply. He knocked a guard unconscious.
Court-martial him. I want the punishment public. Every officer must see the cost of defiance. This is the price of my mistake. I will pay it until the last officer sleeps again.
The military teetered on the edge of collapse, but Resh Koren held the ban like a blade. And slowly, painfully, the war against wakefulness began to turn. 1 month into the ban, the enforced sleep cycles finally took hold. The monitoring displays showed brainwaves stabilizing across the core.
The worst is over, General, but our reputation is ash. The galaxy knows we nearly self-destructed from a human beverage.
Then we need a permanent safeguard. The human captain who brought the coffee. He knows their stimulants. I want him to advise us.
You want to give a human civilian a military advisory role. They will call it a final humiliation.
Let them call it that. I will not let another shipment of food supplement destroy us because we were too proud to ask questions.
If the High Command rebels, it will be your scales. Very well. Bring me your human, but I will watch him closely.
That evening, Resh Koren walked to the detention block where Captain Castellan had been held for months.
Captain, the bean you brought nearly destroyed us. I need your knowledge to ensure it never happens again. I am offering you a post as civilian cultural liaison.
So, you confiscated my cargo, kept me in a cell, and now you want a consultant? You Tashrans have a strange way of hiring.
Daniel Castellan considered his options, then slowly nodded. The alliance that would define Tashran caffeine prohibition doctrine had begun in a detention block. Daniel Castellan was given a small office and an impossible title. His first task, compile a comprehensive report on every human stimulant known to exist.
Theobromine in chocolate, capsaicin, alcohol. These are recreational to us, but maybe weapons to you. Assume nothing is safe.
Captain Castellan is not a trophy. He is our living memory of what one human cargo did. Listen to him. Some of my oldest colleagues will never forgive me for elevating a human, but I am not here to be forgiven.
The first true test came when Trawl arrested a colonel who had hidden an entire month's supply. The court-martial was public.
You could offer rehabilitation. On Earth, we treat addiction as a medical condition, not a crime.
Mercy now will look like weakness. The core must fear caffeine more than it craves it. This is not Earth, Castellan.
Your human is causing fractures, General. 3 admirals have formally protested his role. You are running out of allies.
Then I will stand alone. This liaison is my legacy, and I will not trade it for comfort.
The ancient manuscript spoke of wakefulness as a madness. Now, a human and a Tashran stood together to write a new chapter.
They are calling for a vote of no confidence, General. Your human project has become a rallying cry for every admiral you've offended.
Let them vote. I will not dismiss Castellan to placate their wounded pride. The day I trade security for popularity is the day I deserve to be removed.
That evening, someone bypassed security and left a message on Daniel's door. Leave or the bean won't be the only poison you taste.
General, I am a freighter captain, not a diplomat. You don't need to shield me from threats. I've faced uglier in port bars.
This isn't a bar. This is my military. And if they threaten my liaison, they threaten me. I will assign a guard. Permanently.
General, the vote is scheduled for tomorrow. You have 6 confirmed opponents. You need 7 to survive.
Then I will speak to the 7th. Not as a general, but as the officer who nearly destroyed us. Humility may sway where rank cannot. Admiral Draylock, you fear a human influence. I give you this. If Castellan ever endangers our empire again, I will resign personally. My scales on the line.
The vote came the next morning. Resh Korin's personal guarantee swayed a single admiral. He survived 7-6, but his authority was now tethered to a human's behavior.
I have traded my career for a single human. The Empire will judge if I paid too dearly.
2 months after the ban, the barracks reflected the old rhythms again. Officers slept their full 12 hours, rest pods humming with stable vitals.
The black market is shrinking, but not dead. We intercepted a smuggler from an outer colony with a single pouch.
Involve Castellan. He knows human smuggling methods and make any punishment exemplary. No mercy for the bean.
They treat caffeine like plutonium. Back home, it's a breakfast drink. But I've seen what it did to them. They're right to be terrified.
Castellan proposed a cultural education protocol. Every Tashran officer would study human stimulants as part of basic training.
Approved. And any officer who skips that course will face me personally. Ignorance almost killed us. Never again.
The first test came when Admiral Kren, a vocal critic of the ban, was discovered with a concealed cache of beans.
Kren fought beside me at Dralton. Now I must strip him of rank. The Empire's survival outweighs any old loyalty.
The ceremony was public and silent. Kren's insignia dropped onto the courtyard stone, and no one dared speak. The Tashran military stood stable, but its savior stood alone. The price of salvation was measured in friendships he could never reclaim. 5 years after the prohibition, the Tashran military had no coffee and no memory of craving it. The discipline held.
12 years. That's how long I've been telling a warrior race to say no to a bean. And they listened.
In a quiet office on Earth, a Ministry of Commerce official signed an order suspending all coffee exports to Tashran space. The Galactic Council updated its biological hazard registry. Caffeine joined chocolate, aspirin, and dairy as human-only substances.
This was my error. It belongs here, where every officer can see the cost of one small bean.
A small plaque read, Exhibit Number 1, the bean that almost won, seized from human vessel TSV Black Gold, 2247.
You could have left, Castellan. The galaxy is wide. Why stay here with those who once called you a poisoner?
Because you were the first people who asked for my help instead of my cargo. That's worth staying for.
The museum closed for the night, leaving the coffee exhibit bathed in a single soft light, a permanent reminder the bean that almost won had finally been disarmed by the very people it nearly destroyed. 12 years after the seizure, Captain Daniel Castellan stood before the Tashran High Command one final time.
This human taught us that our greatest weakness was not needing sleep. It was forgetting why we ever needed it. His counsel saved us from ourselves.
I was a cargo captain who got arrested. You gave me a purpose. I hope the galaxy remembers that we learned from each other.
The commendation was the highest civilian honor Tashran could bestow. For the first time in history, it bore a human name.
I once believed I had destroyed my career by elevating a human. I was wrong. He saved it.
In Castellan's honor, the Tashran military codified its prohibition protocol, a permanent curriculum on every human substance, taught by his own manuals.
The archives now show 0 caffeine-related incidents in a decade. Castellan's legacy is not a museum exhibit, it is the stability of our command.
A memorial sculpture was raised in the capital, not of a warrior, but of a coffee bean encased in unbreakable crystal, a testament to the war never fought. As the twin suns rose over Tashran Prime, the military slept its ancient sleep. No longer a weakness, but a conscious discipline. The bean that almost one had, in the end, forged an unbreakable peace between a human captain and an empire that learned to sleep again. In the officers' barracks, the sleep cycles resumed without exception. The rest pods glowed blue, a silent promise kept every 12 hours. A Tashran family gathered for their evening meal. On the table, a blue beverage, no coffee in sight, 3 generations content. In the museum, a child pressed her snout against the glass, staring at the ancient coffee sacks. "Is that really a weapon?" she asked. The adult beside her, a veteran officer, glanced at the plaque. "Once," she said, "now it's only a reminder." Far away, in a quiet human office on Earth, a retired captain read the latest Tashran cultural report and smiled.
12 years. They finally trust me. And I finally trust them. A freighter, captain, and a warrior race bound by a beam.
On Tashran Prime, the twin suns dipped below the horizon, leaving the city in the soft glow of its disciplined rest. The military that once stopped sleeping now guarded its rest as fiercely as its borders. Aliens confiscated human coffee beans. Their officer corps stopped sleeping. And then they learned to sleep better than ever before. The night settled over Tashran Prime, and for the first time in centuries, its military slept without shame.
I nearly destroyed us with a single order. Strange that my greatest victory came from stopping it.
Captain Castellan slept in his own bed, on a world that once held him captive, now simply home. The museum was silent, the coffee sacks under glass, their danger long spent, and a Tashran father told his child the old story, how a small bean almost conquered an empire, and how rest became its greatest weapon. As the suns rose, the cycle began anew. 12 hours of rest, guaranteed by law and tradition.
Exhibit number 1. My greatest shame and my greatest lesson. I will never forget.
The plaque read, Exhibit number 1, the bean that almost won, seized from human vessel TSV, Black Gold, 2247. The galaxy learned. Some gifts from humanity are best left wrapped. The bean that almost won. Decades later, Resh, Corin, and Castellan returned to the museum. Their scales and skin showed age, but their eyes held a shared peace.
It's still here. Every time I see it, I feel the weight of that first cup, but also the freedom that came after.
You know, General, on Earth, we say that the best friendships brew slowly. I think ours steeped for 50 years.
Then it's the strongest brew I've ever known, Castellan. And I am glad I never tasted it again.
They stood in front of exhibit number 1, 2 old warriors who had saved an empire not with a weapon, but with a warning. Exhibit number 1, the bean that almost won. Seized from human vessel TSV Black Gold, 2247. The cup that started it all remains empty, but its echo fills every peaceful night on Tashran Prime. In the end, the Tashran Empire did not fall to caffeine. It rose above it, stronger and wiser, and a retired freighter captain, once a prisoner, became the Empire's most honored guest and a quiet legend. Aliens confiscated human coffee beans. Their officer corps stopped sleeping, and with the help of a human, they learned the value of rest.